You know, I want you to think for a second about the last text message you sent.
Oh, that's a dangerous game.
Right. Or, I mean, maybe the last time you laughed at a joke online, or even that last really deep late night conversation you had with a friend.
Yeah.
I want you to ask yourself, how authentic did that interaction actually feel? Was it purely you, just unfiltered and spontaneous? Or was there, like, this tiny, almost imperceptible layer of
This
curation?
lingering sense of performance.
Exactly, a sense that you were performing just a little bit for an invisible audience.
It really is. I mean, it's the defining anxiety of our era. We are all dealing with this creeping sensation that the boundary between genuine human experience and curated digital performance hasn't just blurred, but it's completely dissolved.
Dissolved into something we can hardly recognize anymore.
Right.
And that dissolving boundary is exactly what we are exploring today. We have a massive stack of sources for this deep dive, all originating from a publication called The Parallel Observer.
It's a fantastic publication.
It really is. It was created by John Grant, who is the founder and CEO of Inno8XR.
Hmm.
That's spelled Inno, the number 8XR. And let me tell you, the material he's publishing is absolute mind-bending territory.
It's a deeply fascinating collection. The Parallel Observer serves as this critical lens through which we can examine our potentially simulated reality.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, when we say simulated reality,
Right. We aren't talking about plugging into a physical matrix with cables in the back of our necks.
yeah, no sci-fi vats of goo here.
Exactly. We are talking about navigating a world so heavy with information overload, algorithmic curation, and hidden surveillance that we are forced to fundamentally question what is actually genuine in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah. So our mission today is to extract the core insights from these sources. We're going to see how this simulated reality is impacting literally everything from, high art to the hidden archives of your private chats to, and this is wild, the world of professional wrestling.
That part is particularly interesting.
And ultimately, how you love and connect with other people. And look, I know some of this sounds like late-night sci-fi theory, but these concepts have incredibly real, immediate implications for how you live your life right now.
They do. And to navigate this landscape, we have to establish a strong foundation of critical thinking.
Yeah.
We really need to look closely at our daily routines and ask the difficult questions about the actual mechanisms of our reality.
Is specifically where the machine's influence ends and the human begins.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this by starting with what we usually consider the highest, purest form of human expression, which is art.
Right.
The sources, specifically this article called Echoes of Existence, detail how AI is fundamentally reshaping human creativity.
Right.
And the way I'm reading this, it completely upends the traditional idea of, like, the lone genius in a studio.
It shatters it, honestly.
The text mentions artists drawing inspiration from shadow files. So if an artist today is relying on algorithms and these hidden data profiles to figure out what to create, I mean, is modern creativity less like painting on a blank canvas and more like using a highly advanced, invisible ghostwriter?
What's fascinating here is the absolute tension that creates between human impulse and machine-generated insight. But we need to define what a shadow file actually is to understand why this is so disruptive.
Yeah, because it sounds incredibly ominous.
Right. Well, a shadow file isn't just a folder with your name on it tracking what you click. It is a highly sophisticated predictive model built from the absolute minutia of your digital exhaust.
A digital exhaust, wow.
Yeah. It tracks the milliseconds you hover over an image of a landscape versus a portrait,
Yeah.
the speed at which you scroll past certain colors.
Wait, really? The speed of my scroll?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It tracks your geolocation overlapping with other users who buy specific products. It is basically mapping your subconscious preferences.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second, though.
Go for it.
Because humans have always been influenced by other things. Like Picasso was inspired by African masks. Writers are inspired by other writers.
Sure.
They take things in, they process them, and they spit something new out. So how is an AI looking at our data and offering a prompt any different from an artist just walking through a museum and getting inspired?
That's a great question. The difference lies in the mechanism of intention and the sheer scale of the synthesis.
Okay, how so?
When Picasso looked at a mask, it was a conscious, singular interaction between an artist and a physical object in a specific moment in time.
Right.
When an algorithm hands an artist an emotional palette today, it isn't offering a singular inspiration. It is offering an amalgamation of millions of human experiences distilled into a mathematical probability.
A probability of what will be popular.
Essentially, yes. A probability of what will be most aesthetically pleasing or emotionally resonant to the widest audience. The AI is doing the subconscious synthesis for you based on the shadow files of millions of observers.
So the algorithm is essentially pre-chewing the culture.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It
Yep.
knows what will evoke a feeling of nostalgia or sadness because it has the math to prove it. And it just hands that formula to the artist.
Precisely. And that challenges us to reconsider what makes art truly human.
Because the machine is doing the heavy lifting.
Right. If the machine is predicting the emotional resonance based on massive data sets, who is actually doing the creating? Is the humanity in the final product, or is it just in the initial text prompt?
That is wild to think about.
In a simulated universe, the machine becomes a mirror reflecting our collective digital consciousness back at us. But when an artist uses that reflection as a shortcut, it gets incredibly murky. Like, who owns the copyright to a collective digital echo?
I mean, it feels like the blank canvas doesn't exist anymore. Every canvas already has a watermark of our collective digital footprint baked right into it.
Exactly.
But if the algorithm is already sitting in the artist's studio, dictating what we find beautiful, what happens when it sits in our living rooms? Because this data collection isn't just about public art. It's quietly archiving our most intimate, private conversations. Which brings us to the next article, when reality melts.
That is the natural and, frankly, unsettling next step in this progression.
Yeah.
The sources move us from the realm of public expression directly into the sanctuary of private speech. They dive deep into the privacy debate surrounding AI chatbots and how our everyday conversations are being archived on a massive scale.
Now, I have to push back a little here because my first instinct when reading about these hidden conversation archives was to get defensive.
That's a very normal reaction.
I just thought, are we just being overly paranoid? I mean, humans have kept records of private conversations forever. We wrote diaries in 1995. We kept shoeboxes full of intimate letters that anyone could have found and read.
Sure.
So how is a chatbot server fundamentally different from, like, a locked diary under my bed?
The difference is the active nature of the archive. A diary in a shoebox is passive. It sits there unless someone physically breaks a lock to read it. When you speak to a chatbot or interact on a monitor digital platform, your data isn't just being stored in a passive box. It is being actively ingested, hashed, categorized, and fed into a global neural network.
Oh, wow. So it's constantly learning from me.
Yes. Your private anxiety about your career, typed at 2 a.m., is being used to train a model on how to respond to someone else halfway across the world. You are not speaking into a void. You are actively programming a data collection mechanism.
That is a terrifying distinction. It's not a record of my life. It's fuel for the machine's predictive engine.
Yes, fuel.
And the sources ask this chilling question. Does knowing our conversations are archived like this actually change who we are?
The psychological impact here is profound. Sociologists refer to this as the panopticon effect.
The panopticon effect.
Yeah. The concept originates from a prison design where inmates couldn't tell if a guard was watching them at any given moment. Because they might be watched, they had to constantly police their own behavior as if they were always being watched.
Wow. Okay.
When you apply that to our digital lives, the awareness of this massive, searchable surveillance forces a fundamental shift in our psyche.
Because you can't be truly vulnerable if you're subconsciously worried about the archive.
Exactly.
I want you, the listener, to really think about how this manifests in your own life. Have you ever typed out a controversial joke in a group chat or started to confess something heavy to a friend via text, stared at the words for 3 seconds, realizing they will live on a server forever, and then hit backspace?
I think we've all done that.
Right. That micro moment of hesitation, that is the panopticon effect in real time. Has that made you act more like a PR representative for your own personality than a real person?
That micro-hesitation you just described is exactly how we lose our autonomy. Your private conversations, which historically vanished into the air the moment they were spoken, are now permanent.
Yeah.
Because of that, your behavior becomes performative. You start self-editing your own identity in real time. And that performative aspect is incredibly detrimental to genuine interpersonal connection.
Because you're never just being you.
Right. Cultivating true intimacy requires a space where you are allowed to make mistakes, to be messy, to say the wrong thing. When reality melts into this archived simulation, finding an unmonitored space becomes nearly impossible.
Okay, well, here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because if our constant surveillance is forcing us to become performative and guarded in our real lives, it makes complete sense that the entertainment we seek out is starting to reflect that exact same dynamic.
It really does.
If we are self-editing and acting like characters in our private texts, then the characters we watch on screen start to feel like the only honest things left.
Which perfectly sets up the analysis of the third major theme in the sources, the comparison of our society to professional wrestling. Specifically, looking at an article about an event called AEW Revolution.
I have to admit, I laughed out loud when I hit this part of the reading.
It's quite the pivot.
We go from the highbrow philosophy of AI art and the dystopian surveillance of chatbots straight into professional wrestling. But once you look at the mechanism of it, it is a brilliant metaphor.
It truly is.
In the squared circle, you have these larger-than-life characters grappling. Everyone watching knows the outcome is predetermined. They know it's a performance. Yet the emotional investment, the physical toll, the way the crowd screams, that is all intensely real.
Yes.
It's the ultimate blurred line between fiction and reality.
And this raises an important question. Why does a medium that is openly fake resonate so deeply with people right now?
Right, why wrestling?
The sources argue that wrestling fans find a unique solace in these narratives because they are actively wrestling with their own understanding of existence.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Think about the panopticon effect we just discussed. In a world where our daily reality feels increasingly simulated, heavily edited, and performative, a wrestling match is deeply comforting because it admits it's a performance.
It's not trying to trick you.
Exactly. It is honest about its artificiality in a way that our social media algorithms and our polished digital personas are not.
Wow, okay. It's like the honesty of the fake punch makes it more trustworthy than the fake smile on a curated Instagram feed.
Yes.
The wrestlers are acting, but they are doing it in service of an emotional truth shared directly with the audience. But let's dig into the mechanics of that, because the sources take this a step further philosophically regarding our simulated context. How does a wrestling match actually work in real time?
So in professional wrestling, the script isn't entirely static. A promoter or a wrestler will read the crowd.
Okay.
If the audience isn't reacting to a certain move, or if they suddenly start cheering for the bad guy, the heel, the wrestlers will physically change the narrative on the fly in the ring to maximize that emotional engagement.
Wait, really? They just change it mid-match?
Yeah, they feed off the crowd's energy to manipulate the story.
Hold on, so if I'm understanding you correctly, that is exactly how a social media algorithm works.
Exactly the parallel the sources are drawing.
If an algorithm notices that you linger on a polarizing video for an extra 1.5 seconds, like your digital cheer, it immediately changes the script of your feed, pushing more of that specific conflict to keep you engaged.
Yes, but it flips the dynamic on its head. In a simulated environment, are we the observers, or are we the ones being observed?
Oh, man.
When you watch a wrestling match, you sit in the audience and observe the performance. But if our reality is monitored, archived, and curated by algorithms that adjust to our micro-reactions,
Then we are the ones in the ring.
yes, we are the ones in the ring. The algorithms are the audience, and the promoter rolled into one. They are watching us grapple with our daily lives, tracking our wins and losses, and using that data to script what gets pushed into our reality next.
That is a staggering visual. We think we're sitting comfortably in the bleachers scrolling on our phones, but we're actually the ones taking the physical bumps in the ring for the amusement of the algorithm.
It's a sobering thought.
Which honestly can feel incredibly bleak. If our art is just an algorithmic echo of our shadow files, our private chats are being stockpiled to train chatbots, and our entire society is basically a scripted wrestling match where we are the unwitting performers. I mean, where on earth do we actually find something real? Is it even possible to have an authentic experience anymore?
That is the central crisis of living in a simulated reality. But the final narrative we extract from the parallel observer offers a really powerful counter-narrative.
Thank goodness.
It moves away from the macro-level technology and brings the focus right down to the most intimate human scale.
Yes, the story of Maya and Marcus. I really appreciated this piece of the puzzle because it brings a wonderfully hopeful tone to what could otherwise be a very heavy realization.
It's a beautiful piece.
It explores their romantic connection amidst all these massive digital revelations we've been talking about. It highlights how the pure human desire to connect deeply, to love and be loved, it persists, even when two people are faced with the profound disillusionment that their very existence might be an elaborate, algorithmically curated simulation.
And to really understand the philosophical weight of their situation, we have to look at how modern relationships are engineered.
Right.
Think about the matchmaking algorithms on dating apps. They don't just look at whether two people swiped right, they analyze the shadow files we discussed
Oh,
earlier.
of course they do.
They look at geolocation overlap, predictive modeling of relationship longevity based on purchasing habits, the time each person spends looking at specific types of photos.
It's like walking into a casino and thinking you're just having a lucky night because you keep winning, when in reality, the house adjusted the odds of the slot machine the moment you walk through the door based on your psychological profile.
That is exactly what it is.
If you know the algorithm works like that, how do you ever trust the love you feel? Did Maya and Marcus meet because of serendipity and destiny? Or did their shadow files just align perfectly in a server somewhere, and the machine pushed them together to maximize their engagement on a platform?
It's enough to make anyone completely paranoid about their own feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I would question everything.
It is the ultimate existential doubt. But what makes their story significant is their response to that doubt. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Maya and Marcus choose to lean into the connection regardless of its origin.
Yeah.
They represent a vital beacon of hope because they illustrate the struggle for authenticity amidst chaos. The core thesis here is that even if the reality around them is simulated or heavily manipulated, the shared experience of the relationship becomes the fundamental anchor that provides meaning.
It's the ultimate act of defiance. It's looking at the rigged casino and saying, I don't care if the house set us up, the way my heart beats when I hold your hand is undeniably real to me.
Exactly.
The mechanics of how they were brought together become totally irrelevant compared to the reality of what they build together in the present moment.
Precisely. They are reclaiming their autonomy. They aren't doing it by unplugging from the internet or destroying the simulation, but by creating genuine, unarchivable meaning within it. It proves that human connection can transcend the parameters of the system designed to monitor it.
So what does this all mean? When we look at this entire stack of sources from John Grant's The Parallel Observer, we are seeing a complete multi-layered spectrum of the modern digital condition.
We really are.
We started with the realization that our creativity isn't a blank canvas anymore. It's being heavily influenced by AI synthesizing our hidden digital exhaust. We moved to the chilling mechanism of how our private conversations are actively ingested by chatbots, forcing us into a guarded panopticon-style state of performative living.
And from there, we explored how that performative reality is perfectly mirrored in our entertainment. Professional wrestling showed us how algorithms read our reactions and rewrite our reality on the fly, blurring the lines between the observer and the observed.
Right.
But ultimately, we arrived at the quest for authentic experiences. This deep dive shows us that in a digital revolution that constantly threatens to pull us deeper into simulation, our shared human connections, our privacy, and our intimacy are the absolute most valuable things we possess.
They are the last true frontiers of humanity. But of course, the landscape of this simulation is still shifting under our feet every single day.
It is. And the sources make it clear that this conversation is far from over. The Parallel Observer teased that they will soon be diving into an impending leak of documents.
Oh yeah, the document leak.
These documents apparently expose entirely new algorithmic manipulations that are actively influencing broader public opinion and social movements.
Which is just a stark reminder that the threats to our autonomy and the veracity of our reality are ongoing. The simulation isn't a static piece of software. It's constantly updating its terms of service without telling us.
And navigating that requires our constant active vigilance. We cannot afford to be passive observers.
Which brings us to the end of today's deep dive. But before we let you go, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. Something to chew on the next time you pick up your phone, or send that text, or feel that micro-hesitation before you post something.
Yeah.
We talked about Maya and Marcus, and how their love acts as an anchor in a fake world. But think about this. If our reality is indeed a simulation, and our environments, our stressors, our art, and our inspirations are all algorithmically curated, is our desperate, uniquely human drive for authenticity, like the love between Maya and Marcus, a genuine rebellion against the simulation?
Or is that profound desire for love just the most advanced, inescapable piece of programming we have?
Are we breaking the code by loving each other, or are we just successfully executing its most complex command?
That's the real question.
When you look in that digital mirror today, who is really smiling back? Keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep learning.